Hello everybody, my review is on the movie Independence Day, Resurgence, which opened up June 27th. When first of all, let me just say this. I'm kind of on the fence with this movie. I'm not saying I liked it. I mean, but I could see, before I went to go see this movie, I heard what a lot of the critics were saying. I heard that they were saying that the movie was cheesy, it was dull, this and that, and it wasn't any good. So I'm thinking, going to this movie, I'm thinking, well, a lot of alien invasion movies usually don't do very well with the critics. There's a few of them that did pretty well, but most of the time they don't. So I went to this movie with low expectations, and usually when you go to a movie with low expectations, usually the movie surprises you. Well, it didn't so much in this case. When I went to this movie, I liked the action and everything. Everything about it was pretty good, and not everything was good about it, but there were some good moments. Independence Day, Resurgence is kind of a messy movie in certain areas. For instance, well, let me just say, there's things I liked about the movie and things I didn't. Now, what I liked about the movie is it was neat to see some of the old characters from the first Independence Day, which came out in 1996, and the dogfights in space and the battles and the special effects and visual effects was really fun. It was good popcorn fun. Now, what I didn't like about the movie is that it was cheesy. And there was enough cheese here to satisfy a lot of wine drinkers. Let's put it that way. When I went to go see the movie, I sat there and I thought, well, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be surprised. But the thing is, like, the humor in this movie was just so bad. I mean, not all of it was bad. There were moments where it made me laugh, and but most of the time the humor in this movie was just downright bad. It's kind of like somebody trying to tell you a joke or trying really hard to be funny, but all they really do is come across looking dumb. That's the kind of humor that was in this movie. There was like dumb humor, and it was just, there was just a lot of cheesiness in this film. I mean, there was but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I noticed about this movie is that it reminded me so much of the first Independence Day movie, the first Independence Day movie I thought was good. I liked that one, but this one tried to copy it in certain ways. The way the flow of the movie was through sequence, you could tell they used a lot of the same stuff they recycled a lot of the same stuff from the last movie. And now there's spoilers in this review, but I just have to explain in this review how the movie kind of disappointed me. First of all, it was like, if you look at the 1996 movie, this movie, it started off, you had the big flying saucer passing past the moon. You see the big, huge, the shadow from the ship passing the moon. We return back to Area 51 again, where everybody meets up, and Dr. Levittson comes up with a great idea on how to beat and defeat the aliens. And you had a lot of uplifting speeches like you had in the last movie. You had former President Whitmore, who joins the attack on the alien ship, just like he did in the last movie. He attacks it as a pilot. And then when the battle is all said and done, they're all in the desert congratulating each other, just like the last movie. It just seemed to me that there were a lot of sequences that were used and borrowed from the last movie. And that, it seems like they were trying to play it safe by doing that, but the quality of the film was just too freaking cheesy. I mean, I don't want to hate this movie. I don't want to dislike it. I love the first Independence Day. I am kind of a UFO alien buff and all that, and I really wanted this movie to succeed. But I got to be truthful. I got to be honest. There were a lot of things in this movie that just weren't very good, and there were a lot of things in there that just didn't look right. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy some of this film. I did enjoy seeing the old characters again. I did enjoy the battle scenes. I mean, there was fun moments in this movie, and there were some things that kind of made me laugh. But overall, the humor was kind of pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't that good. And like I said, they used a lot of the same things. There were just a lot of cheesy scenes. There's a scene where former President Whitmore, he's in his fighter plane or jet or spaceship or whatever, and he comes up to this alien mothership, which has the big queen inside it, this big tall queen alien the size of King Kong, and he comes up there with his detonator and he goes, in behalf of Earth, have a happy 4th of July. And he blows up the ship as his plane, as his plane's coming right at the saucer, or the big mothership. He says, on behalf of Earth, have a happy 4th of July. Something like that. And he goes, and it blows up. And I just thought, come on, man. I mean, they use that same kind of thing, from the first Independence Day movie. Remember when Dennis Quaid's character was in the fighter jet and he says, "Hello, fellas, I'm back," and he smashes into the ship and blows it up. It seemed like they were trying to use that same kind of thing, except with Pullman's character, former President Whitmore. So I thought that was something they reused, but I thought it was such a cheesy scene. And then you have some of the other characters, what is his name? Oh yeah, Brent Spiner's character, Dr. Brackish Oaken or something like that. His character's name. That doctor with the long hair and the glasses at Area 51. Well, he was in a coma for I guess 20 years, and then he woke up, and I mean, the guy was in a coma for 20 years. It just, I don't know, there was just some things about this movie that I thought were okay, and some things that I didn't think it was okay. The humor was cheesy. The movie also felt like it should have been made for the Sci-Fi Channel. It did not feel like a big screen quality film. It seemed more like something that would have been made for the Sci-Fi Channel. Now, it could have been a big hit on the Sci-Fi Channel, but this movie, I don't even think it was very well promoted. It wasn't very well sold. Like, for instance, from what I read on the internet, none of the cast members, did interviews on any of the late night shows or whatever, like Jimmy Fallon or whatever. They were on none of those shows like that. There was no big premiere where the celebrities were. It almost seemed like they knew this movie wasn't something to brag about or something to represent, because they probably didn't think they had a very good product to begin with. But you got to also understand too, is another thing why I think the movie wasn't well hyped or anything like that, is the fact that it came out in a time where, well, you take the first Independence Day movie for instance, the one that came out in 1996. Back in the mid-1990s, a lot of people were into the science fiction, alien craze, UFOs and science fiction. In 1996, or you had the Star Trek TV shows and Next Generation and all that. You had the re-release of the original Star Wars trilogy that came out, was re-released in theaters as a special edition in 1997. You had the UFO cult called the UFO cult called Heaven's Gate, led by Marshall Applewhite, and how these people thought that if they killed themselves, they were going to go up to this spaceship that was following Haley Bop, which was in the night sky during that time. You had NASA sending its first rover to Mars. I mean, it sent probes to Mars back in the 70s, but they sent the first rover to Mars, I believe, in the mid to late 1990s. Excuse me, around that time, and so you had a time when everybody was just so into the alien UFO craze during that time, and even in 1997 was the anniversary of Roswell. So that time period, it was a perfect time for a movie like Independence Day to come out, and and people ate it up. But it doesn't work that way anymore. I mean, yes, we still have Star Trek and Star Wars movies, and we still have, NASA's finding all these exoplanets out there and everything, but the feeling just isn't the same as it used to be. And I think that had they made a sequel 3 years after the 1996 movie, I think that perhaps it would have been people would have been more fresh in people's mind. Everybody would want to see it. But 20 years later, I mean, nobody cares about Independence Day anymore. The movie's getting a lot of bad reviews. I think it's got a 34% right now. And it turned out to be one of the summer's rotten movies. I'm praying that there's other two movies I want to see this summer. I want to see Star Trek Beyond, and I want to see The Suicide Squad. I'm hoping those movies will be fresh, because so far a couple of movies this summer that I looked forward to became rottens. Batman v Superman became a rotten this summer. I was happy for Captain America; it did well. And then Independence Day, it got its resurgence. It got its rotten. So I'm hoping that the rest of the summer, because this has been pretty much a rotten. I mean, as far as movies, have gotten a lot of rottens. But anyways, yeah, I think Independence Day wasn't well sold. I think the timing of it wasn't really well. Plus, another thing that I think hurt it this weekend was the fact that there's that Disney movie, Finding Dory, I believe it's called, Finding Dory. It owned the weekend. And Independence Day Resurgence became its bitch this weekend, because Finding Dory did better than Independence Day Resurgence. But yeah, I was really hoping for this movie to do really well. Before I went and saw the movie, I own the first Independence Day movie, so I went and watched it before I went to the movie, and that's how I realized that I saw a lot of similarities, like I was talking about. But anyways, I'm not going to hate this movie. I'm not going to give this movie either an up or a down. I'll be fair to it. I'll be kind to it. I'll give this movie a C+. Wasn't great, but like I said, there were things in it that I liked. I liked seeing some of the original characters. Pretty much a lot of the original characters get killed, except for David Livingston. He doesn't die, and Brent Spiner's character, Dr. Brackish Oaken, he doesn't die. Also, Julius Livingston, which is the father of God, I gotta remember all these names, of David Livingston. So I think that so some characters definitely lived, but I guess like I said, former President Whitmore died. Will Smith's character in the last movie, his wife that he married, or the woman he married in the last movie, she ended up being killed. Now they didn't have Will Smith for this movie because Will Smith was too busy doing Suicide Squad. So they brought back a guy. I can't remember. They brought back a Will Smith kind of guy. I can't remember his name. Trying to find it here, but I can't find it anywhere. What is his name? Let's see. I can't find it. Can't find it anywhere. But was it? Wait a minute here. Well, I can't remember his name. He was a African American actor. I don't have all the names here, but he played Hiller's son, the pilot that was in the last movie. But I just can't. Oh yeah, Dylan Hiller, I think it was. Yeah, and Dylan Hiller, yes, that's I think the character's name. Who was the son of Will Smith's character, and the character's son, and so he was kind of like the Will Smith type character in the movie. But anyways, also another thing too is what else did I cover? Oh yeah, also in the movie, they had all these years to prepare for the invasion of the next aliens to come, because what they did was they took the technology, like in the first film, they shot down all those ships. They took the technology from those ships and advanced their own technology, so if the aliens came back, they would be able to be ready for them. Thing was, the aliens had 20 years to prepare and upgrade their technology. So, that's how the movie basically is, and that's my review. And all I got to say is, if you go and see this movie, see it with low expectations, because you might come out disappointed. Like I said, I went with low expectations, but like I said, to me, it didn't seem like a big quality movie, big screen film. So, but like I said, there's things that I did enjoy about it, but overall, a lot of it was very sloppy, and it just seemed like the story wasn't well thought out. The one-liners and some of the dialogue wasn't that good, but the fighting scenes, and got this leather chair here, but the fighting scenes and all that were okay. Were good. The special effects and all that. So that's my review, and I'll talk to everybody later. All right, talk to everybody later. Bye.